Float Fit. It's the workout trend that's making waves.
It's totally new. It's something that you can't do a lot of other places, and that really attracted us to it.
So I took my first class at the YWCA.
Ready?
I can tell you that it's a lot harder than it looks.
Do I just jump on? The moment you step on the board, your core is engaged, your legs are engaged because you have to stay balanced.
It's a good workout.
Here's how it works. You stand on this platform called an aqua base.
You're going to be balanced on a board. It's tethered to these lines in the water.
And then a certified Float Fit instructor takes you through a series of yoga-inspired and high-intensity interval training exercises.
We did anything from squats, burpees, push-ups.
The routines engage muscles throughout your entire body, and you can burn up to 400 calories in 30 minutes, all while constantly engaging your sea legs, just fighting to stay afloat.
You're using your abs, and as you can tell, you can use it on your legs as well because you're always working on those legs.
After several minutes, I was already huffing and puffing just from trying to stay on the board.
You're actually focusing on the balance.
Balance is key, but most of all, the class was a lot of fun. Float Fit is perfect if you're looking for a unique way to exercise.
And something like Float Fit for somebody who gets bored with a traditional exercise.
The name Cheater Bella, it is legendary.
This is the bullet hole right over here. So he was trying to hit me, but the government employees can't shoot worth a shit, thank God.
In 1988, the name became synonymous with one of the most daring prison breaks in U.S. history. The breakout was more than 30 years ago, well before internet search engines existed. The chronicles of the tale can be found only in the archives of public libraries.
I was sitting right over here.
In a rare interview, partly inside the original chopper used in the infamous prison break, Cheater Bella told me about what happened that day himself.
She was sitting right back over there, which was unusual because she wanted to get behind me rather than in the other corner.
A woman hired Cheater under the pretense of a business trip. He soon learned she was armed and would force him to land in the courtyard of what was then one of the most notoriously violent maximum security prisons in the country, the Santa Fe State Pen.
They all started jumping in. I threw the seats out and everything.
Cheater landed in the prison courtyard in a hail of gunfire.
These guys were pushing a gun in the back of my head saying, "Go or you're dead."
But the chopper couldn't take off because one of the inmates was hanging off the skid, so the others pushed him off and they barely escaped. Chased by air and by ground, Cheater was forced to land in Albuquerque and arrested.
The other three guys were never investigated for skyjacking, which is compensatory life. And what they actually got sentenced to, I don't know, because two of them were mass murders and the other one was a petty larceny guy.
Ultimately, a jury found Cheater not guilty.
You know you're a legend, right?
Well, I don't know about a legend, but I'm still alive.
But you're a living legend.
I'd like to think so, but it doesn't buy me a cup of coffee or nothing.
31 years later, Cheater still feels cheated.
Oh, come on, Willie, hup, Willie, hup. Come on, they're not gonna hurt you, Willie.
Cheater bought some land after he was cleared and started rehabilitating animals. Today, the ranch is left with donkeys, a couple of dogs, and his pet bull, Willie.
When he was about 1 hour old, I picked him up and carried him. Now he could carry me around if I get on his back.
For a while, Cheater and his wife were federally licensed to rehabilitate endangered species: eagles, lions, tigers, bears.
Bucky, how's my girl?
Cheater was even trying to rehabilitate cars, planes, and art pieces stored on his properties. He collects things he's convinced deserve a second chance. Perhaps the second chance he feels he was never given. The question now, whether he's been judged unfairly, or if something happened that day the public has never known.
Yes and no. There are some things that I'm saving for a book that I'm trying to get published.
The statute of limitations has expired on the charges he faced. If today he changed his story, no charges could be brought against him.
I don't know if statute of limitations ever expire on kidnapping or skyjacking. I don't think it actually does. I'm not that well versed in the law.
Cheater says the tragedy is that regardless of the legal outcome, there was no justice. His life was ruined and his kidnappers were never prosecuted for skyjacking. At the least, he would like an apology from the state of New Mexico and reparation for what he has lost.
I would like to see a financial reward out of this somewhere, somehow, somewhere down the road.
Meantime, Cheater still pilots charter flights, occasionally appears in movies like Rambo 3, and tinkers around on antiques and his turboprop Commander. He keeps the ranch going as best as he can.
Are you putting all your money into this?
Everything I got and then some. Yeah, these guys eat about a ton of hay a day.
While the world waits for the book that could potentially reveal something new about the most daring prison escape in modern U.S. history, I asked Cheater Bella what he might have done differently that might have changed the outcome of events that infamous day. He says it should have all ended that day, July 11th, 1988.
It's hard to ever wash that slate, no matter what you do.
Are you saying that you would have rather have died that day?
Sure. If it happens again, that's what's going to happen. I'm not going to even give it a second thought.
I just moved into town last week, so I'm really curious what El Paso has to bring, so I'm checking out everything that the town has to offer.
It's great. I think it's, we need more events like this.
It's extremely important because the arts are an expression of the city itself.
We come here every year just to chalk the block. Get people out of the house, something to do.
I think that this is awesome. It's great for the community, great for the children, something for the family. He loves it. As you can tell, he's excited. Tell him how excited you're to be here. Tell him. I love it!
Have family events for everybody to come out and enjoy and support our local businesses and all the crafts that we have here.
You can be yourself. You can draw what you like, what you believe in, the things that you like.
This is where the story ends for Janet Balderrama. Now her final resting place. She was a daughter and mother of two. Her mother says the grief never goes away.
A veces pienso que ya no quiero vivir.
Life without her daughter is a daily struggle.
Un día estoy bien, un día estoy mal.
Janet's life at the age of 25 was cut short by an alleged drunk driver. The woman at the center of the tragedy is Desiree Scoff. She was 24 at the time.
This is where the story begins. On July 11th, back in 2013, El Paso police said Desiree Scoff was driving drunk down Doniphan. The Jetta that Desiree Scoff was driving slammed into the back of another vehicle, and that car then spun out of control, slamming into this pole. Janet Balderrama was a passenger in that vehicle. That fateful night changed the course of many lives. Janet Balderrama was killed instantly, and now her family is left wondering if they'll ever see justice for what happened here that tragic night.
Eran las 3 de la mañana.
It was 3 in the morning. Neither Desiree Scoff nor the other driver were hurt. Desiree was eventually charged with intoxicated manslaughter, and that's when the story turned into a legal spectacle.
I do know that there was an attempted plea. I read the transcript. It appeared it was not a voluntary plea.
Desiree pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. But then, as Desiree was set to turn herself in, a twist, her plea was thrown out.
There was a misunderstanding. There wasn't an agreement as to what the terms were.
A new trial was granted. Criminal defense attorney Joe Spencer took over the case, and Desiree now had more time as a free woman.
As we were coming close to crunch time as to what was going to happen on this case, she disappeared.
Desiree never showed up to a mandatory court hearing last November and hasn't been heard from since.
And we have a real concern over where Desiree is. I think her family has a real concern over where Desiree is.
We tried tracking down the Scoff family numerous times. We went to their home in the Upper Valley, and although we heard people inside, no one answered the door. Public posts on social media paint a different story about Desiree's disappearance. The Scoff family seems happy and unconcerned. On April 22nd, her mother, Lisa Marie Scoff, posted an update about their next move, saying goodbye to El Paso and the USA. On April 23rd, Lisa Marie posted another Facebook update, this time checking in at London's Heathrow Airport. Then, days later, she updates Facebook again, claiming Beirut, Lebanon is her family's new home. Pictures of the entire family touring Beirut and checking out the local sites show no signs of concern.
It's common knowledge that's been posted that she's in Lebanon.
Desiree's intoxicated manslaughter case has now gone cold. It sits with the many other unresolved cases in the extradition unit within the district attorney's office.
We have a list of nearly, I think the last time I looked at it, but it's pretty outdated, it's almost like over 200 serious crimes that are still unsolved that we look at.
Roberto Ramos says the unit has extradited more than 100 people since it was created back in 2005. But all of them have been from Mexico.
We don't have a treaty with Lebanon, so there is no international warrant issued.
And although Ramos couldn't comment on Desiree's case specifically, he said a trial by absentia would not apply.
We can't try somebody in absentia unless they actually were a part of the process when it began.
And there's very little the DA's office can do now.
I can tell you that it's an active case. And it has a high priority. The district attorney is very concerned.
But the charges will always be hanging over Desiree's head until she returns.
If a person leaves jurisdiction of the court or has absconded, it is just evidence of guilt that can be shown to a jury, and the ramifications are just much more severe.
On May 21st, Desiree's mother made another public post on Facebook, this time saying the family was back in the U.S. for a couple of months to sell their house. We went back to the house in the Upper Valley.
Hi, I'm with CBS 4 News. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. About your daughter, Desiree?
Desiree's father, Ramzi Scoff, who was born in Lebanon and naturalized in the U.S., refused to come out. We asked the district attorney's office about possible charges Desiree's parents could face if they helped her escape.
Here in Texas, it's a felony. It's a felony. It's a third-degree felony, 2 to 10 in prison. If the person is aiding and abetting, providing financial assistance so the person can remain a fugitive.
We also emailed Lisa Marie Scoff. She responded saying, quote, "We're in El Paso for a while later until we sell or rent our home. Whether we move to Siberia, Dubai, or Lebanon, it's not for you to know." She then referred us back to Joe Spencer.
My indications are, at least from the family, that there was never any indication that they were leaving the country.
The case is now in limbo. The district attorney's office isn't talking much about the progress.
It's a waiting game, but I can tell you that it's a wait that we don't get tired of, nor do we sit on it.
Now, while one mother celebrates a new life with her family, for the other, it's a daily torture as her family has been torn apart.